Hello everyone. So in this video, let us discuss how to handle new Jira configurations or changes to existing Jira configurations request. Now, if you are a Jira admin or consultant or someone who is responsible for maintaining Jira instance, then you will anyways be doing this. But from my experience, I think you should also have a process or some kind of a change control board around Jira configurations. Of course, depending upon how you're using Jira in your organization, you can of course have something which is really bureaucratic or something very simple, but there should be some control over these configurations that will dictate or that is dictating how your teams will work. And I have mentioned this in my books as well. Usually there is a chapter in my books where I talk about best practices and standardizations of Jira configurations. Now, whenever it comes to changes to configurations, then you have to make sure that you are basically ensuring that nothing will break and people are aware of those changes. But let me share those steps. So the first thing that you need to do is listen to those requirements. So let us say if people are requesting you that, or maybe they have raised a ticket for you on your portal that we need to add a new custom field, or maybe we need to add a new status in the workflow or do some changes. So of course, depending upon the changes, you may want to of course make sure that there is no impact, or there might be an impact, but you know how to handle it. So let us say you have received a ticket, and that ticket says that you want to add a new status in the workflow. Now, of course, adding a new status is not really a simple thing. It can be a simple thing, but it can have an impact on, it can basically change the way people work. So the first thing that you should do is you should try to, of course, understand and record. And even before you record, just try to listen to those requirements. First, ask the user why you want to add a new status. I mean, if they're asking for this new status in a workflow which is being shared by 100 other projects, yes, it can happen. So first, try to understand. If you're not really sure, reject the request. That is how you should do this. But of course, if they are insisting, if they are asking for it, then try to record it somewhere, like why they need this new status. And of course, you can suggest that if this workflow is not really working for you, then maybe use one of the other workflows that we have in our standard way of working. So when you record it somewhere, then it will of course, or the ticket that you receive will of course be prioritized. It will of course come in your backlog, and don't really act immediately. Always spend some time to understand what impact it will have on other projects. Because if you add a new status, a lot can change. For example, let us say you add a status called as in review. Now, a simple problem could be that, let us say in the workflow, you have a new status all of a sudden, and people are moving that particular or issues to that particular status. Now, this is of course, I'm talking about the situation where people actually are not really aware of those new changes. Even if they're aware of it, or even if you make them aware, they might not be reading those emails. So when you have a new status and new or issues moving to that particular status, then it might not appear on Kanban boards. It might not appear on Scrum boards, because you need to map those new statuses to one of those columns. So that is of course very important, because if you add a new status, reporting can change, and the states that you have will actually have, or basically people rely on some reports where they see tickets coming in to do, then it moves to in progress, then on hold, done, closed, whatever. If you add a new status, then people need to update their reports. It depends what kind of reports, or if they need, or maybe they just need to update their Kanban board. And the problem is that you might not know how many, or you might not know easily how many projects teams, users are using those issues in their scope, and this new addition of this state, how it will impact. Because it is, I mean, of course, I'm talking about those cases where you may send an email to everyone that yes, we are adding a new state. So it is not really straightforward all the time, right? You have to basically, and this is just one example of adding a new state. There could be numerous other examples. And once you have, let us say, done the impact analysis, let us say you know for sure somehow, or maybe you don't really care about letting people know or not letting them know that yes, there is a new status. Let us say you want to go ahead with this. Now, of course, when you go ahead with this, before you go ahead, you may want to, depending upon how your Jira instance is managed, if you are the owner of the Jira instance and if you are responsible for telling people or basically dictating that yes, you should work in this way, then of course you can do those changes. But ideally, in most cases, you may want to at least let other teams know that yes, we are going to add a new status, and maybe take their feedback. And this feedback is also very important. Don't just add a new status because one team is saying that yes, it is extremely important for them and they can't really live without it. To be honest, in reality, that is now how things are. It is never really urgent for everyone all the time because Jira is just a tool. It is not really. I mean, Jira will help you or teams to do their work, and adding a new status makes sense, but it is never really urgent. So discuss it with, or don't really, even if you don't really want to discuss it with other teams, just let them know that we are going to add a new status. Do you have any concerns? Yes, no. If yes, then let us know. And when you have decided that you are going to do these changes, you have taken feedback, then of course agree on a date that yes, on this particular date we are going to add a new status, and then finally do it, and then of course wait for things to go wrong. So the thing is that when you work with end users, they will say that we want to add this new status because we do have like some we want to solve a problem right now, but we will probably wait for like a long-term strategic decision. So the point is that don't really make changes quickly and easily, because I'm just talking about one example of one team and maybe one manager. If you're working in a big organization, you will receive like hundreds of tickets every day, and you can't really, if you don't really have these controls, checks, then within no time your Jira instance will be a mess. And that is why you need to have, when you set up Jira, or when you roll out Jira, or when you're maintaining a Jira instance for someone like in your organization or for your organization, have this process in place from day one, literally from day one. Otherwise, it will make your life problematic. And this is actually applicable to both Jira Data Center and cloud. Nothing to do with cloud versus DC. All right, that is it. That is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned something new today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.